Prime Minister Modi and the President of Philippines, Marcos Jr., today announced a strategic partnership between the two countries. Prime Minister Modi thanked Philippines for their support after Pahalgam attack and called India's friendship with Manila a friendship of choice. Marcos Jr., on the other hand, acknowledged the strengthening ties between the two countries. Both nations have made significant strides in defense partnership after concluding the BrahMos deal and a maritime exercise in the South China Sea recently. Marcos Jr. also acknowledged the ability of Indian weapons after their success during Operation Sindoor. Let's talk about this and get a sense of what this means for both the countries. Joining us on the program is former diplomat Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev. Also joining us on the show is Major General Sudhakarji, Senior Geopolitical and Strategic Defense Expert. Mr. Pathikrit Payan, geopolitical expert, also with us on the show. And last but not the least, Mithali Nikore, economist, with us on the program as well. Pathikrit, I'll begin with you. Well, first of all, Philippines is definitely keen on buying Indian defense products. In the light of what's happened in the last few hours, in the last few days, considering the threat that the Philippines also faces from China, and considering the fact that the Americans at this point in time are being a little soft on the Chinese as compared to the Indians, how important are these new partnerships, or rather these, I won't call them new, these novel partnerships that India needs to cultivate on?
Good evening. First and foremost, Philippines has recently acquired BrahMos weapon systems, missile systems from India. If you look at a country like Philippines, it has major security challenges in the vicinity, in the neighborhood, but they because of the financial issues, they keep on looking for cost-effective yet quality weapon systems, something that India definitely offers as one of the best among the emerging, defense suppliers of the world. If you look at it this way, I think Philippines, with a $500 billion economy, is one of the key players in the whole of Southeast Asia. So today, a strategic partnership has been created between India and Philippines, which is a great step forward. There are major areas of convergence, not just in terms of weapons which are being sold to Philippines, and I'm sure in future they would be looking for small arms also from India, radars also from India, and many other kinds of things. But also about military tactics. There are major military naval exercises which happen between Philippines and India. But it is not just restricted only to weapons sale only. For example, there are major areas where Philippines can embrace some of the best practices which India has mastered. A couple of them would be, number one, in areas of disaster management. We, like Philippines, are a country which is prone to natural disasters. But in spite of that, we have created a mechanism to deal with it with specialized units like the National Disaster Response Force. Secondly, on issues of governance, the way the Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile, the JAM Trinity has worked, the manner in which direct benefit transfer has helped, the deprived sections of the society in India, I think these can be easily embraced by Philippines. Last but not the least, one of the most critical areas is pharmaceutical. Pharmaceutical is one area where generic drugs as well as cost-effective vaccines is something India has shown considerable competence. So I think countries like Philippines and many other countries of Southeast Asia have for a long time looked upon India to come up as a counterbalance, as an alternate, and as a country which will help without putting them into a debt trap. It's only probably in the last 10 years we have seen major concrete steps being taken by India to assert itself, to go ahead, shake hands, and create structured relationships for keeping the long-term situations in mind. And I think this is something countries like Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, or Vietnam are very happy about. Yes, and also it is important the manner in which China has weaponized armed countries like Pakistan. I think it's only imperative for India to go into the South China Sea and help countries like Philippines, which may not be very big economically or in terms of military, but are being given today enough capability to defend themselves. BrahMos is a classic weapon systems, and that's the reason Operation Sindoor is something that has impressed countries like Philippines, because BrahMos, which has been sold to them, has actually performed in a real-time scenario and has actually delivered results. Back to you.
General Sudhakarji, what is your assessment of our support for Philippines, considering the fact that India has also been a victim of Chinese bullying in the past?
Yeah, Vinit, good evening. Thank you for getting me to your show. My compliments to very distinguished and eminent co-panelists. My take on the whole issue is that we need to look at Philippines from the perspective or from the prism of what you have just stated in the question. China is our adversary to the north, and we need to understand the underbelly of China very well. Philippines forms part of the underbelly, where we can exercise options of QPQ, that is quid pro quo, whenever it is required. Now, Philippines also has to be seen from the perspective of almost about 90% or more of India's export passes through maritime trade, maritime routes. Out of 90% or more, almost about 55% passes through close to South China Sea, Asia Pacific. Earlier we used to call, now we are calling Indo-Pacific. What needs to be understood is that this particular corridor, if it doesn't have that freedom of navigation, inclusiveness, or the basically safe and secure corridors, then perhaps in times ahead they may be subjected to interference from adversarial element, that is China. Why am I saying China is? People need to understand through your channel that nine dash line, it actually started as a concept way back in at the time when PRC was raised, 1949. At that point in time, they had a concept called 11 dash line. And 11 dash line, somehow it was suppressed because of Vietnam, I would say. The same thing has revived recently, in recent past. The 10th and 11th line, they are to the east of Taiwan, because now they are planning to actually assimilate or reunify Taiwan, come what may, even if kinetic resources have to be applied. They are hell-bent by 2027, maybe earlier than that. Now, if that be so, and if we have to prepare a kind of a contingency of quid pro quo, then we need to invest money, time, and energy. As we are talking in your show, if I respect my memory, there are a good number of our naval vessels which are carrying out joint training activity or in just to validate the concept of interoperability with Philippine Navy in the Western Philippine Sea. And we are also aware of the fact that 90% of the South China Sea is actually being claimed by China. And all the three island archipelago, whether you talk about Spratly or you talk about Paracel Island or Thomas Shoal, all of them are dominated. There is an island which is immediately in the west of Philippines, I think it's Thomas Shoal, and it's about 1,200 kilometers away from the coastline. It defies all the concept of maritime conventions which are existing today. China has got its ships and vessels. The coastal batteries are deployed there, and doesn't allow Philippines to exercise its basic mandate of EEZ, Exclusive Economic Zone. So under these circumstances, India is doing good. Our diplomacy has become stronger with Philippines. We started engaging. Philippines being part of the ASEAN, we are also doing well. We have gone in for the process of negotiation is on with regard to free trade agreement. There are large number of MOUs which have been signed. I think centrality, apart from defense cooperation, should be the tourism. Tourism is something which both the sessions have, countries will actually are on a win-win situation. Plus, one important factor needs to be understood is the first chain island. Now, what is first chain island? First chain island is actually extending from Kuril Island, north of Japan, and touching the alignment of Philippines, coming down towards Brunei. This is the first chain island on which the Taiwan is also resting. Now, this is the first line of defense as far as USA is concerned, and they want, as per their design of battle, they want to restrict all maneuvering capability of China's naval fleets to first chain of island. On the contrary, China wants to break open by capturing Taiwan, assimilating or reunifying with China, so that it has got a free run right up to Hawaii, Asia Pacific, so that it can claim itself to be a blue water navy. These are the process of contestation which are unfolding by the day, and I would recommend that it's about time for the sake of security and classified confidentiality, I would say. I can't disclose certain things, but India is investing in addition to having given them BrahMos. I think 3 batteries have already been sold, 375 million. They have shown interest to buy a couple of more, maybe 2 batteries more. Along with them, Vietnam and Indonesia, they have gone in for very serious and advanced stage of negotiation for BrahMos. Operation Sindoor is a testimony of our Atmanirbhar Bharat. And also the Akash Tir is showing a lot of interest amongst the ASEAN nations. And going by the order of precedence, Philippines is number one, Vietnam followed by Indonesia, Malaysia may also soon would be joining the fray. So keeping all these aspects in mind, I personally feel that if at all the world order has to actually focus and gravitate its effort to prevent any kind of conflict taking place, then it is the place here. And I would say the Central European conflict, which is going on today, the Russia-Ukraine and the Middle East conflict would be actually dwarfed in size and content and intensity if we do not pay attention to what is happening in South China Sea. So India is doing great by actually engaging with Philippines, and we need to also address our the trade balance. Trade balance with ASEAN is actually in deficit. It is not in favor of India. Our total is coming to around 85 billion. I think we are importing much more stuff. There is a danger because India has pulled out of RCEP, that Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. That is a grouping of 15 countries dominated by China. It is good, but there are counter arguments also as to why it is not good. If we are pulled out of RCEP, we need to look at across Pacific, Asian Pacific groupings such as Mercosur, which has got Mexico, Canada, Chile, Bolivia, all these countries.
All right, fair enough. So let me also rope in Ambassador Sachdev into this. Ambassador Sachdev, considering the fact that at this point in time, the world seems to be divided or being divided by, one gentleman in particular, how important is for India to cement its partnership with newer friends?
Thank you. Glad to be on your panel. I think a lot has been said already, but let me put in my 2-penny bit. I think India and Philippines have challenges in managing China, but the relationship between us is not just China specific. The two countries have similarities and they have complementarities. Similarities wise, we are both manpower exporters. We are both skilled people who want to dabble in IT and offshoring of the work, etc. We need to coordinate. I think India and Philippines are the first two countries in maritime sailors domain, for example. So we need to avoid competition and we need to collaborate so that we both can have our employment boosted. I would also like to talk about the complementarities. I think our technology is quite appropriate for Philippines. There are about 120,000 Indians living in Philippines, and they have established a number of industries, and they are contributing to the economy of that country. I think one would also like to say that India, against the backdrop of a negative trade balance with ASEAN, has a very positive balance with Philippines. And we have one of the agreement, 13 MOUs and agreements signed today, talks about preferential trade between our two countries, a preferential trade agreement to be negotiated, which would put us and Philippines apart from ASEAN-related trade treaty, which is on which India has plenty of reservations. I would also like to suggest that we do have ancient cultural ties. The Chola Empire extended to some extent to Philippines in the 10th to 12th century, and the history or shared history between the two need to be uh, revived and taken cognizance of. So there is plenty to be done, and this meaning the Philippines is the 110 million population. It is second only to Indonesia, and it had the gumption to take China up to the International Tribunal under the laws of the sea, and where it won the case when the tribunal ruled that China's South China Sea related architecture or claims have no basis in the international law. Now, to implement that particular ruling, Philippines would have to go to UN Security Council, which is a dead end because China would have a veto. So the issue, as far as Philippines is concerned, cannot be negotiated. Former President Duarte tried to play China against United States, but that did not succeed because Chinese territorial disputes with the Philippines.
Sure, sir.
United States has had plenty of demurral, and the secrecy with which China-US ties are being reshaped makes a lot of ASEAN countries, including Philippines, wary of expecting US to come to their rescue in case of problems with China. So
Fair
that's
enough,
how
sir. Fair enough,
the,
sir. So let me also
the
rope in
president is
Mithali as
in-
well. We have a serious paucity of time. Mithali, your assessment of how India's economy and Philippine economy can, not only gravitate the good stuff amongst each other, but I'm going to reiterate this point once again, that this is the age of, sadly, division, and India needs to choose prudently.
Absolutely, Vineet, and thanks a lot for bringing me in. I would say that there are a number of complementarities when we look at the economies. I think one thing we haven't spoken about is the care economy. We know that some of the biggest nursing institutions, the biggest nursing schools in the world are actually based in Philippines. They're sending Philippines nurses, Filipino workers, to the UAE. They're sending Filipino workers to Europe. And, Filipino workers are known for their high level of skill and talent as well as thoroughness. And I think India really needs to learn from that because we have a large population which is now starting to get into demand. I mean, when we look at the northeastern states, when we look at the southern states, a number of developed countries are asking for care workers to come from India to their countries, but they need to have skill training and they need to have upskilling. And for this, I think Philippines can be a great partner to India, to work together and take our workforces to become the care workers of the world. The second area, which I really think is a massive area of complementarity, is food processing and agriculture, because Philippines also has a very rich culture of food processing, and they have managed to create new spices and fruits and vegetables which they've managed to export to the rest of the world. Again, we can learn from that, complement that, and increase the scale of these businesses. And the number three area where we can really work together is urban development, because when we look at the problems in Manila, I've been to Manila a number of times. I mean, I worked with the ADB. And I can tell you that Manila is one city where traffic is worse than Bangalore, worse than some of our cities. And we are doing a lot of research on decongestion, on creating sustainable cities, which Philippines can really benefit from. So, just adding to the points that everyone has made, I completely agree with them, especially on defense.
Fair enough.
But on top of that, these are major areas of cooperation.
Good points there, Mithali. Appreciate you joining us and appreciate everybody else who joined in on this debate as well.